The cameras flashed. The reality TV world froze. For years, fans thought they knew the ultimate ride-or-die besties of West Hollywood. But just like that, a single magazine interview shattered the illusion, and Hollywood had a new obsession. Welcome to Starscope Report.
It's going to be a heavy one today.
Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And honestly, I am so ready to get into this one. It's just massive.
It really is. I mean, we have an absolutely massive story for today's deep dive. We are dissecting the headline that has completely taken over the internet for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Stassi finally admits she and Katie Maloney weren't really friends.
Which is just crazy to hear out loud. But we've been digging through the archives for this one to make sure we have all the facts.
Right, because there's so much to sift through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for the sources today, we're looking at everything from that bombshell April 2026 Marie Claire interview to, some incredibly juicy blind items from Dumois.
Oh, the Dumois leaks. Always the best.
Always. And we even dug up these old Inquisitor articles going all the way back to 2015. Plus, we pulled quotes directly from Stassi's own podcast, and we'll be covering the breaking news from Hulu's recent Get Real House event.
So this is going to be a wild ride. We're taking a journey through reality TV betrayal, the very real mechanics of cancel culture, and what might just be the ultimate Hollywood comeback.
It's a lot to unpack, for sure.
So let's unpack it, because to really understand the magnitude of this secret falling out, you have to remember where these two started.
You really do. You have to rewind the clock and look at the foundation of their relationship, because it was forged in a very specific, incredibly intense environment.
Yeah, for those of you listening, I really want you to transport yourselves back to the golden era of Vanderpump Rules. Picture those dimly lit, chaotic alleyways behind SUR Restaurant.
The chain smoking in the alley, yeah.
Exactly. We're talking about the iconic Witches of WeHo dynamic. I mean, this is an era defined by absolute, unadulterated chaos on our television screens.
It was pure reality TV gold, honestly.
It was. You had Stassi literally backhanding Kristen Dout across the face after finding out about that affair.
A historic television moment.
And then, you had Jax Taylor completely unhinged at a party, taking his chunky sweater off, screaming his infamous, "I'm the #1 guy in this group," rant with just this terrifying look in his eyes.
Well, right. It was a specific brand of television, and it was driven entirely by these highly volatile, deeply enmeshed relationships. And Katie Maloney's relationship with Tom Schwartz was, arguably the central pillar of that volatility for years.
Oh, God, it was agonizing to watch sometimes.
It really was.
I mean, you look back at those early seasons, specifically the agonizing season 3 moments. Do you remember the cringeworthy ring on a string incident?
Oh, the ring on a string. How could anyone forget?
Schwartz had cheated on Katie, and his grand romantic gesture to mend things at a time when Katie was just absolutely desperate for an actual engagement, a real commitment, was to put a ring on a piece of string and hand it to her.
Which is just so incredibly bleak.
And let's not forget him literally pouring a drink on her head during a screaming match. It was a tumultuous, incredibly heavy dynamic to witness as a viewer.
It was. But throughout all of that toxicity, the overarching narrative pushed by the show was always that Katie and Stassi, along with Kristen, were this unbreakable coven.
Right, the Witches of WeHo.
Exactly. They were presented as fiercely loyal to each other, like a united front, even when their individual romantic relationships were just crumbling around them.
Which is exactly why the recent news is so shocking. I mean, fast forward to the spring of 2026, Stassi Schroeder sits down for this massive career-spanning interview with Marie Claire, and she just completely drops the facade.
Just shatters it entirely.
She states point blank, and I quote, "No one knows that we had a falling out for years."
Yeah. That single sentence, it just completely rewrites years of pop culture history for the fans who followed them.
I mean, I read that quote, and my jaw literally hit the floor.
Oh, same.
This is like finding out Woody and Buzz from Toy Story actually hated each other off screen the whole time.
Yeah.
How on earth did they hide this from everyone?
It's a great question.
Right. In an age of social media where paparazzi follow their every move and fans are tracking their Instagram likes, they were the poster children for a toxic but unbreakable best friend show.
It is definitely shocking on the surface. But, if we connect this to the bigger picture and really look closely at their history, the cracks were actually there very early on.
Oh, wait, really? How early?
Well, If you dig back into the lore, like we looked at this old Inquisitor article from 2015, you see that their friendship was fundamentally volatile from the start.
Okay, 2015. Wow.
Yeah. Back then, Katie had decided to make amends with another co-star, Shiana Marie. And Katie's reasoning was incredibly simple and, frankly, very human. The ongoing, relentless feuding was just exhausting for her.
Which makes total sense. I mean, working with someone you're constantly fighting with is draining.
Right. Being civil with Shiana just allowed Katie's day-to-day life at SUR to be significantly less stressful.
Right, but let me guess. Stassi's reaction to that very reasonable boundary was basically to go scorched earth.
Precisely. Stassi viewed Katie's peacemaking not as like a personal boundary for Katie's mental health, but as a complete and utter betrayal.
Of course she did.
She cut ties with Katie entirely, claiming Katie had embarrassed her. But what's really fascinating here is what this tells us about the reality TV ecosystem itself.
Oh, absolutely.
Shows like Vanderpump Rules act as this insane high-stakes pressure cooker. They literally force people to perform friendship, to maintain these alliances for the sake of the narrative.
Right, and for the screen time and obviously the paycheck.
Exactly, even when the actual emotional foundation of the friendship is cracking or just completely broken.
I always think about how exhausting that must be. Like, you're trapped in a workplace where your personal life, your actual deepest relationships, are the product being sold.
It's a complete blurring of lines.
It's like being stuck on the world's most toxic corporate retreat. But you can't go to HR, and millions of people are judging your every move on Twitter.
That's a perfect way to put it.
So, of course, they just slapped a Band-Aid on it for the cameras. They pretended the witches of WeHo were still thriving, while secretly, they were just slowly drifting apart behind the scenes.
And that performative aspect takes a massive psychological toll, you know? Maintaining a facade of closeness with someone you are actively resenting is just unsustainable.
Yeah, you can only fake it for so long.
Eventually, the reality of their divergent lives was bound to shatter the illusion they were projecting to the fans.
But wait till you hear what came next. Because what finally blew the lid off this secret falling out wasn't like a scripted show reunion. It was when the rumors were about to spill over onto TikTok and their real lives completely diverged.
It really was a huge shift.
Real quick, though, if you're loving these Hollywood twists and the psychology behind them, make sure you're subscribed to us. We've got even crazier stories ahead.
So, to understand how we get to the point of a public, undeniable fracture, we really have to look at the massive catalyst for change that hit in 2020.
Right. 2020 changed literally everything for this group.
It did. In 2020, Stassi was fired from Vanderpump Rules by Bravo.
Yeah.
And just to impartially report the facts from the sources here, this decision followed the resurfacing of racially insensitive statements and behavior she had directed toward a former Black co-star, Faith Stowers.
Right. It was a massive media moment. I mean, it completely derailed her entire career path at that time.
Yeah.
Everything she had built on the network just vanished overnight.
It really did. And in recent interviews, Stassi has been very revealing in her reflections on that specific period.
Yeah, didn't she say some pretty harsh things about herself?
She did. She stated that during her time on the show, she was, quote, incredibly selfish and chaotic.
Wow.
Furthermore, she acknowledged that if she hadn't been fired, she would probably still be that exact same person today.
That's quite the admission.
It is. She essentially views the firing, the loss of her platform, and the public backlash as the harsh but necessary catalyst for her own personal growth and maturation.
So you have Stassi, who is certainly forced out of this Bravo machine and has to build an entirely new identity from scratch.
Exactly.
And when you look at what happened after 2020, their lives just went in completely opposite directions. Like, Stassi essentially retreats from the chaotic reality TV lifestyle. She leans heavily into motherhood.
Right. She has her 2 kids, Hartford and Messer.
Exactly. She has the kids. And then she plans this lavish 2022 Italian wedding to Beau Clark. But because Bravo is no longer footing the massive bill for, a television special, she has to drastically cut the guest list down to just 35 people.
Which is a tiny wedding for a former reality star, although it is a very important detail to note that Katie Maloney, along with Tom Schwartz, was one of the 35 people who actually made the cut for that highly intimate, scaled-down wedding.
Right, so fans still think they're solid at that point.
Of course.
We see the wedding photos, we see Katie there in Italy, and we assume the witches of WeHo are surviving the storm.
Oof, but the reality was much different.
Yeah, because while Stassi is deep in this quiet, private motherhood era, focusing on her family, Katie is still completely entrenched in the Bravo machine.
She's still in the trenches.
Literally. Katie launches her podcast disrespectfully with Dana Kathan. She is navigating the brutal reality of her divorce from Tom Schwartz on national television, and she's embroiled in this bitter, highly publicized feud with Lala Kent.
So they are suddenly living on two entirely different planets.
Completely different universes.
Which perfectly sets the stage for the public reaction and the viral response that finally erupted in May 2024. The pressure had just been building silently for years, and it was about to find an outlet.
And that outlet was the Dumois leak.
Yes, the infamous blind item.
The internet's favorite gossip account drops a blind item titled VPR Friends to Foes.
It was everywhere.
The item claims that Stassi and Katie are no longer friends. And even more shockingly, it suggests that Stassi is secretly #Team Lala in the ongoing Katie versus Lala feud.
Which is just a massive betrayal in the reality TV world.
No, the internet absolutely lost its collective mind. Bravo fans were spiraling, trying to find clues in old Instagram posts. And then Stassi herself steps into the comments section of a viral TikTok video by a creator named Steph with the Deets to try and do damage control.
But as we know, her attempt to squash the rumor ends up confusing people even more.
It really did.
Instead of a clear denial, she leaves this remarkably ambiguous statement.
Exactly. She writes this incredibly cryptic comment. First, she says she's not on the show anymore, so she's not on any team. But then she drops this line, "Friendships ebb and flow without it being nefarious."
The famous ebb and flow comment, it went everywhere.
I mean, come on. As a fan reading that, you're literally screaming at your phone.
Oh, people were furious.
How does ebb and flow explain abandoning Katie in the middle of a massive, painful feud? Katie is Hartford's godmother.
Right, that's a huge tie to just let go of.
You don't just ebb and flow away from your child's godmother without something major, like something specific happening behind the scenes. People felt like they were owed an actual explanation.
I completely understand the frustration from the fans' perspective.
Yeah.
They're so used to everything being loud, dramatic, and explained in a confessional interview.
Yeah, we expect the screaming match.
Right. But if we analyze this calmly, the underlying insight here is actually deeply human and honestly very relatable.
How so?
Well, when people's lives diverge this drastically, when one person is leaning heavily into quiet motherhood and the other is navigating a highly publicized divorce in the middle of a reality TV pressure cooker, that ebb and flow isn't necessarily a malicious betrayal.
Okay, I hear you.
It is a natural, albeit painful, adult reality. You simply stop having things in common. You stop knowing how to support each other because your daily lives, your priorities, and your stress triggers look completely different.
Yeah. It's the harsh truth of outgrowing people, even people you genuinely love and share history with.
Yeah.
It's exactly.
You don't have to hate someone to stop calling them every day. Sometimes you just don't know what to say to each other anymore.
It doesn't have to be a drink-throwing blowout fight at a Hollywood restaurant.
Right.
Sometimes the most profound falling outs are just a slow, quiet drift. One person stops texting, the other person is too busy to follow up, and suddenly it's been a year.
And we thought that was the end of it. Like, the quiet drift seemed completely permanent. But later in the episode, we will talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming that puts these two right back in the line of fire.
It's a huge pivot.
It really is.
Yes.
So stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next, because this story takes a massive left turn.
Because the drift, as it turns out, was not permanent.
No, it was not. Which brings us to the most recent development, the ultimate reality TV comeback.
Right. To set the scene for this incredible pivot, we need to look at April 22, 2026.
Okay, yes. Picture this, you guys. It is a gorgeous, sun-drenched day in Beverly Hills at Casa Lago.
Beautiful venue. Oh, stunning. Hulu is throwing their second annual Get Real House event. The press is there, the cameras are rolling, influencers are literally everywhere, and everyone is waiting for the big announcements for the upcoming television season.
The anticipation was palpable.
And then Stassi Schroeder takes the stage.
This is the moment the industry was waiting for.
Yep.
She announces her brand new, unscripted series. It is officially titled House of Stassi, and it is set to premiere on July 29 on both Freeform and Hulu.
Which is a huge deal on its own.
Massive.
But the absolute jaw-dropper, like the moment that made every pop culture journalist in the room gasp. Katie Maloney is standing right there next to her on stage.
That's unbelievable.
Katie is announced as an official main cast member of the new show, alongside Stassi's husband, Beau, her sister, Georgiana, and another Vanderpump Rules alum, Christina Kelly.
And the public reaction was immediate and overwhelmingly positive.
Oh, the internet broke again.
It wasn't just a press release. They actually demonstrated their dynamic live. During the event, they played a game of Most Likely To on stage, and the undeniable chemistry between Stassi and Katie was completely intact.
It really was.
It was as if no time had passed.
It was so cute. Like, when the host asked who is funnier, they both immediately, without hesitation, agreed Stassi is funnier.
Naturally.
And when asked who was bolder, they literally gave the exact same answer at the exact same time. They both said, we're both bold in different ways.
It's that classic best friend synchronization.
Yeah. And the comment sections on the TikTok and Instagram videos from the event were just flooded with people saying BFF goals and nature is healing. The fans are absolutely thrilled they're back together and clearly enjoying each other's company again.
It is a remarkable full-circle moment for their relationship. They survived the pressure cooker, they survived the drift, and now they are choosing to come back together.
Okay, but I have to push back here.
Go for it.
I really need to play devil's advocate for a second. We just talked about how Stassi went on the record saying that reality TV made her, quote, incredibly selfish and chaotic.
She did.
She openly acknowledged that the environment of unscripted television was fundamentally toxic for her personal growth. So, why on earth is she going back?
It's the million-dollar question.
Right. And worse, why is she dragging her newly repaired, clearly fragile friendship with Katie right back into the exact same television machine that broke them in the first place? It just feels completely contradictory.
That is the crucial question, and it's the one every critic is asking right now, but the answer lies entirely in her new title.
Okay, what title?
Stassi is returning not just as a cast member whose life is being filmed, but as an executive producer.
The EP credit.
Exactly. The holy grail of reality TV.
Yep.
It changes the entire power dynamic. She stated clearly that her absolute condition for returning to television was the ability to protect her family.
That makes a lot of sense.
She now has the power to sit in the editing bay, look at the footage, and say, no, you cannot show this conversation with my kids, or this storyline is manufactured, we are cutting it. She has the final say.
Right. She intimately understands the mechanics of why a reality show works, why it creates drama, and how it fails the cast. But now she holds the reins.
So she isn't at the mercy of producers editing her into a villain or forcing her into unnatural, high-conflict situations at a dinner party just to get a good trailer.
Exactly. She gets to decide what is real and what crosses the line.
Wow.
And to really highlight how selective she's being, we can look at what she turned down to get here.
What did she turn down?
She actually refused a highly lucrative offer to join NBC Universal's massive hit show, The Traitors.
Wait, really? The Traitors is huge right now.
It is. But she explained that the idea of returning to that specific network family and participating in a high-stakes challenge game show based on deception gave her a literal pit in her stomach.
I can imagine.
She said it would feel like being, quote, thrown to the wolves. Wow, that is so telling.
Is it?
So going on, the Traitors felt like stepping right back into the old toxic machine where she had no control and was just a pawn for drama.
Exactly.
But House of Stassi is a machine she built herself, with her own blueprints.
Precisely. She is returning to the medium that made her famous, but strictly on her own terms.
That's a power move.
It really is. It's a calculated, highly controlled comeback designed to showcase her life authentically, without the manufactured toxicity that defined her 20s. She gets to show the maturation of her friendships rather than the destruction of them.
That makes so much sense. It is completely different when you are the one holding the steering wheel.
It will definitely be a fascinating case study in reality TV production. Like, can you make compelling television without the cruelty?
We are definitely going to find out.
We are.
So, bringing this all together, what we've uncovered today isn't just a story of a petty Bravo feud or a fleeting Hollywood rumor.
No, it's much deeper than that.
This is a genuinely fascinating look at how two women outgrew their toxic reality TV roots. They secretly drifted apart when their lives no longer aligned, when one chose the spotlight and the other chose a quieter path.
Exactly.
And now, years later, having grown into completely different versions of themselves, they are consciously choosing to rebuild their friendship as adults, entirely on their own terms.
It's a profound story of maturation. But it does leave us with an important lingering question to ponder as we wait for the premiere.
Ooh, what's that?
Well, now that Stassi and Katie are putting their newly repaired, still fragile friendship back on television, the very medium that fueled their past trauma and drama, will the cameras, even with Stassi acting as a producer, strengthen their bond?
Oh, that's a good point.
Right.
Why?
Or is the pressure of the spotlight simply too much for any real friendship to survive?
Wow. They've rebuilt the house, but we'll have to see if it can survive the hurricane of reality TV ratings.
We'll just have to watch and find out.
We really will. You've been listening to Starscope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.